I've escaped from prison, and now I'm on the lam. This sexy, sexy lam.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I'm Chad McCanna. That was excellent feigned authority. I really liked that.
Well, you know, really, if there's any authority to tell people that they're being welcomed to the Kongversation, I would say I'd be one of the two of us, right? I mean, I should feel confident
actually,
about that.
I think we have a gentleman who enjoys the company of apes on retainer that usually does the initial welcoming.
Yeah, he doesn't really welcome you, though, more as he horrifies you and makes you reconsider even listening to our program.
Yes, he's not so much a welcome wagon as an audience fragmenter.
Yeah, right. He's the reason we have half the listeners we probably deserve.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Thank you, Ape Raper. Chad, welcome
Hyle.
to the Kongversation.
Oh, thank you. Welcome yourself.
Now, before we get down to the party aspects of the show, 'cause, you know, we're all about the parties. We're all about hitting the club with the Kongversation.
Oh, I thought you meant we were just going to spend an hour and a half spinning the control stick until our hands bled.
Actually, that sounds like a great time. But before we liquor it up and play some tug of war, we need to make a pretty serious correction, because last week you put your foot in your mouth.
Yeah. Meh. Yeah. So anyway, last week we were talking about the surge of 3D platformers, and the subject of rare fandom came up. And
Yes.
I erroneously attributed this weird, pervasive sense of current rare hatred to the Facebook group Rareware Fans Unite, when it was actually the Facebook group Operation Rarefall. My apologies.
Rarefall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
such great Rare fans, they want Rare to fall. It's
Yeah, it's
like
counterintuitive.
it's like an abusive husband, you know. Oh, baby, I only hit you because I love you. And I don't know why that abusive husband is Bill Clinton.
I was
but
about to ask that.
I assumed it was in Arkansas, so I don't know.
And they all talk like this in Arkansas, baby.
They do, man. You know, it's not about hugging trees,
But now
not about being wasteful either.
But now me and Hillary live in Harlem, which has never seen an abusive man ever.
Oh, now, okay, Chad.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, so I didn't speak up at the time because I honestly had not been on my personal Facebook in probably months. I'm only on the DK Vine Facebook page, so logged in under the DK Vine account. So I haven't actually been to the Rareware Fans Unite page in some time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Me neither, because it's a closed group, and I left it a while back, but
I just assumed, I was like, wow, that really took a dark turn there, Rareware Fans Unite. But I don't have the authority to correct you, so I'm just gonna put my trust in Chad McCanna.
no, that's misplaced trust. But
Yeah, obviously.
Anyway,
So now you're never gonna be able to run for office. You realize with this hanging over your head, those gotcha journalists at Fox News are gonna really have a field day with this.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Roger Ailes has retired and is being replaced with our forum member Gerby, so I'm in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, it's really weird how Fox and Friends keeps throwing to those Animaniac shorts.
What are we going to make up today, Brain?
Although I think Steve Ducey makes an excellent Pinky, so it very well.
You know, if Steve Ducey could just have everything on his teleprompter replaced with NARF, I would be A-okay.
I think that actually is happening. That's why Jon Stewart's retiring. He was just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm getting out of the game. Anyway, so yeah, sorry, Gerby, and to everybody else at Rareware Fans Unite.
Gerby's the only one who cares.
Well, we didn't mean to besmirch your name, and you are true Rareware fans, and we apologize.
Yes.
And
because we are the ultimate authority on who is or isn't a true fan.
I would like to think so. Well, I mean, I would like to think a lot of things, but
But you don't, because it would be irresponsible.
Well, honestly, I do, because self-delusion is the only way I keep going these days. So, you gotta get up out of bed some way, and I like to ascribe godlike sensibilities to me. And
So it's not so much fake it till you make it, it's just fake it till you trick yourself into thinking you've made it.
That's the secret to happiness, my friend. I'm actually writing a book about that.
It's called A Million Little Disappointments.
Yeah, unfortunately, Oprah is not really around anymore for me. But I guess I can go on Dr. Oz or something.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. He took over Conan's old studio.
I know. So that's so many things in the tale of Conan O'Brien have ended in disappointment.
Yeah, on our honeymoon, which took place in New York. Janelle and I did the NBC
not
studio
our.
tour.
Chad and I didn't have a honeymoon. When he says
Right.
our honeymoon, he was referring to his lovely wife Janelle.
Yeah, Hyle and I went to Hawaii on our honeymoon, but then I got arrested for being a polygamist.
Right. Well, obviously we had to go somewhere tropical, whereas Janelle is more urbanite, so she wanted to, go to the city. So.
Right. But no, we
she's more of an arcade games fan, whereas we're more of a country trilogy fan. So.
That's right, and we wanted to get ahead of the Retro Studios curve and experience Volcano firsthand.
That's right.
No, but they on my honeymoon with my wife Janelle, we went
and we're just clarifying so Janelle doesn't get pissed. There's no gay panic here or anything. Like we're totally cool. Think of you guys thinking we're a couple or whatever. But,
yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Whatever. But no, one of the studios they took us to was Dr. Oz, and it looked kind of familiar, but they've completely reconfigured the way it works. So like where Max and his band used to be, that's kind of the main stage. And when I realized that and it clicked what's become of Conan's old studio, I just got really sad.
Well, at least Joel Goddard's semen stains cannot be removed. They are permanently stained on the floors.
And on Toshi.
Yeah, Toshi's still there, yeah.
He's a fixture.
He samples all the supplements before Dr. Oz recommends them.
That's right. And on the studio tour, you can pay $20 to have your picture taken with him.
Really? Still?
Yeah, we got that framed.
That was after Conan left NBC, though. So I very much doubt Toshi is still there.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so why don't we get to some due diligence?
Why don't we?
Because
the audience hates it.
The audience hates it, but we hate the audience. Call the DK Vine hotline at 1-281-410-KONG.
Is there a way, if I don't have a touch-tone phone, that I would be able to dial that?
I believe there's a jingle that's associated with it. And I believe you penned it, and so because of that,
you should sing it.
I should sing it. Okay, all right. Well, you want to call the conversation, yeah? 1-2-8-1-4-1-0 and the what?
Was that like a Bob Dylan rendition?
That was Tom Waits and Bob Dylan making "Sweet Sweet Love" on Lou Reed's grave. So,
man, there are so many strange gay pairings. Only 9 minutes into this episode,
it's one of those episodes. Hey, man, it was it's Mardi Gras, or was Mardi Gras.
Yeah,
Mardi Gras is over. It was Mardi Gras, and strange gay pairings happen on the road to Ash Wednesday. What can I say?
Yeah, I always forget that Mardi Gras is a Catholic thing, and then when people show up to work with their foreheads smudged, I have to remember that it's incredibly insensitive to try and mention to them that they've got a little schmutz on their face.
Oh yeah, right. Because schmutz is Yiddish anyway. So
right.
Yeah.
You should have said I got stuff on my face. What's wrong with you? Don't use the Yiddish.
Why don't they put blood on their forehead? That's what I want to know. Like, wouldn't that be more thematically appropriate?
Yeah. Well, blood or like a wine stain, because
they never cremated Jesus.
Yeah. Is it so? Yeah. What is the significance of the palm frond ash? Is that like when Sodom burned to the ground, or like
That's the Old Testament. What are you talking about? That's the Old Testament.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They still read that.
They still read it, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It something about when Jesus came to town, he was fanned with palms, or I don't know. I'm not I'd have to ask Michelle, because she's actually studied religion in college. So
yeah, she's one of them theologian types.
yeah, cultural anthropologist.
Our first time meeting Michelle, we were treated to about an hour of Hare Krishna devotional chants on a loop.
Hey, the album Kirtan Nation is awesome, and you know what? I don't have to explain ourselves to you.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, I really don't know the significance, so I probably shouldn't run my mouth, because otherwise you'd have to issue a correction next week.
It never stopped me. No, I don't issue religious corrections, because they never do.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So join the DK Vine forum if you want to argue with Chad. You can go to the conversation thread. It's in general DKU discussion, and say, Chad, you offended my religion again. It's at www.dkvine.com/forum. And I have it on good authority that there's never been a better time to join, especially if you want to disagree with Chad.
Yes, he has it on the highest authority. Hyle is the Pope of the Donkey Kong universe.
That's right. And honestly, I don't know what kind of ash I used on my forehead, because now I've got like a cross of zits, and it's just hideous.
Those aren't zits. That's an outbreak of poison oak.
Oh, well, that's really strange for February.
Wait, why is that? Does oak not grow in February?
It dies. I mean, it grows again like in the summer, but it's not like the leaves aren't there unless you have it on your like clothing that you didn't wash properly, and then you put it back on.
Oh, okay. Because I'm used to the oaks in Texas that shed their leaves first week of March.
I know like Texans believe that like the whole world is Texas, but believe it or not,
it's like a whole other country.
Yeah. Believe it or not, things operate mighty differently outside of Texas.
Yeah, they operate at a faster pace. Those city slickers.
Yeah, they eat salsa made in New York City. So
that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. So actually, the first time I went to Texas, that I went as a little baby, but I don't remember that. The first time I was old enough to shit in a toilet, I went to Texas was I.
Is that how you qualify your big life events?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was to film the series finale of Elvis and Slick Monty, and so I was amazed that Texas lives up to so much of the stereotypes, and that how obsessed with branding Texas is.
What do you mean, like branding of itself?
Yes, like you see the shape of Texas everywhere.
Yeah,
on buildings, on like overpasses, on. I'm just like, what?
Lest you forget where you are.
Yeah, I'm like, oh wow, conceited much, Texas?
Incredibly.
Yeah.
That's an easy enough answer. Yes.
No, there's lovely people in Texas, though. I had a great time. My trips to Texas, all three of them.
Three. I know there was Elvis and Slick. There was when Alistair
we won
and
the
Ozzy
Emmy.
Ben. Oh, and the Emmy, of course.
Yeah,
when we won the Emmy.
So
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, all three great times. All three. I got incredibly pissed. Actually, I don't think I got pissed when I was when the Aussies came to visit. So
yeah, no. We don't think we really drank all that much on that visit.
The Emmy trip, though. Oh my God.
Okay, well, it was Halloween night, or like Halloween Saturday.
Halloween weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
And we had just won an Emmy, so yeah, we got drunk.
Yeah, and we were all dressed up in suits, and we just decided to parlay that into a group Reservoir Dogs uniform.
Even though the colors didn't match whatsoever.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. What do you mean the colors didn't match? Steve Buscemi wasn't wearing pink in that movie.
I was wearing a red shirt. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. So who were you, Michael Madsen, then?
I was Satan, actually, but nobody got that. I dressed to the Emmys as Satan. But, no, yeah, because this was 2007, and this was, like, when Reservoir Dogs was really, like, big in the college crowd. So,
what?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Reservoir Dogs ever had a reservoir sans.
Yeah, so people would see us on the street, like college kids, and they'd be like, "Yeah, Reservoir Dogs," and I'd be like, oh, "Okay."
Wow. Did it take the place of Scarface?
Yeah, and then Breaking Bad took the place of Reservoir Dogs. When
Reservoir
everybody's-
Dogs. That's such a weird pull, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's these things happen. I don't know
I would
how
have thought
cultural shift.
Pulp Fiction over Reservoir Dogs. If you're gonna go with Tarantino, anything for a pretentious college crowd.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just because you get to walk around in suits and be
Yeah.
debonair, whereas otherwise you have to dress as John Travolta or Samuel Jackson before he started shaving his head. So it doesn't really work.
Yeah. And you get to go to people in parties and say, they never explained who shot Nice Guy Eddie.
Yeah, I know. It's weird because I was talking about this with somebody, and it's amazing how many movies I learned through The Simpsons and up through Conker's Bad Fur Day before I actually saw the movies themselves.
Oh, are you talking specifically about, for this example, the Don Weezo scene? Where,
Yes.
Yeah, he's talking, Mr. Red, Mr. Yellow.
So it's just amazing, like, how cultural osmosis works, how very rarely do you pick up these things from the actual source. It's always through parodies. So, especially as a kid, like Animaniacs, The Simpsons,
Yeah, that's why I can never eat Pizza Hut, because I saw Spaceballs as a youth.
That's why, never mind.
Okay.
So I was gonna go down a dark path that I promised we wouldn't go down again. Spaceballs. So talking about Spaceballs, I hate.
Yeah, that is a very dark path.
I hate that movie.
So have we discussed on the air how
We have.
Okay, good. How
We have.
neither of us really likes Mel Brooks.
Well,
And he's only as good as Gene Wilder. That's what what we landed on.
It's not that we dislike Mel Brooks. It's that he's overrated, and I think people find him funny because they're supposed to find him funny.
Yes. Agreed.
Yes. Anyway, and Chad and I don't agree on everything, especially pertaining to comedy, but we do agree there.
Yeah. It's like he's the film version of a studio sitcom, where instead of having canned laughter to tell you it's funny, you have the name Mel Brooks on the marquee.
And Yiddish jokes.
Yeah. It reminds me of, there was this King of the Hill that we watched a few weeks ago, where there's an old Jewish man talking to Bobby, and he says, "You I like," and Bobby says, "Wow, you can say things backwards? This I like." This is a revelation to him.
Well, anyway, we welcome all friends, both Jewish and Gentile, to subscribe to the show on iTunes. Rate us on iTunes. Don't take us on a romantic picnic lunch under a shady tree where, away from prying eyes, we make passionate consensual love. Because there's a wind chill of -15 degrees right now, and we would die from exposure.
Yeah, that was my walk into work this morning. Love living north of the Mason-Dixon.
We're supposed to get about... Oh, I'm south of the Mason-Dixon technically right now, right up on its ass, and it's supposed to get like 5 inches of snow and ice tomorrow. So
fun times.
Or this weekend. So Anyway, follow DK Vine. That's the website that the Kongversation is hosted by, on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and what's it called? YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube. And that can be found at dkvine.com/Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube. Facebook, we've got over 30,000 likes. So
Jesus.
Tumblr, it's Cameron is doing just an awesome job. With it.
Honestly, if you like DK Vine content, especially what's on Facebook, and you want kind of more that's along those lines, but different
Better.
additional content. Yeah,
I thought you were gonna diss me there.
No.
Better.
No, I'm saying, like, basically it's really nice that Cameron especially leverages the Tumblr visual format to really delve into screenshots and like art dissection. It's fantastic. So
and Cameron's the artist of DK Vine. Like, he is the graphics guy. He understands. I mean, Matt is the Photoshop wizard, But Cameron, I think, more than any of us, understands design. And
Yeah,
so
like
he
making things from scratch.
So, like, on Facebook, you'll get the continuity-heavy observations, thanks to me. On Tumblr, you'll get the artistry impressions and really analysis of why these designs tick and maybe why they don't from Cameron. So, yeah, it's great. It's great that we don't double up on the content on the two formats.
I've actually, since I don't have a Tumblr account, I have added the DK Vine Tumblr RSS feed to my my feed aggregator, so I get it in tandem with, all of my regurgitated news from Go Nintendo.
Oh, terrific!
Yeah,
our Twitter also exists. So
that's right. There is a Twitter.
And we sometimes make tweets, very rarely.
Yeah.
And, of course, you're probably listening to this on YouTube. Actually, you're probably not listening to this on YouTube because only a very, 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 very slim fraction of our audience is on YouTube. But
oh, well. It's here for you.
If you're Metro Android, hi. So
yeah, that's our one YouTube listener.
Tell your friends about the conversation, by the way. Spread the word. And we don't really have any calls to take this week.
No, that's correct. So we wanted to discuss a bit of news that sort of adds to what we were talking about last week, aside from my faux pas regarding Rare Fans Unite.
Your faux pas, you mean Billy Shears.
That's right. My Billy Shears regarding Rare Fans Unite.
That's right.
We wanted to discuss that little bit of news, which we'll get to in a second, and also the new major release that we probably will be seeing some DKU games out on shortly.
Are you talking about what I did in the shower this morning? Or are you talking
No, that was a substandard release, Hyle. I've seen better on our honeymoon in Hawaii.
That's true, yeah.
Now, those were some major releases. Volcanic in nature. What is wrong with us? The new 3DS came out, so we'll talk about that too.
The new 3DS came out, and we welcome it in its lifestyle. It's not a choice, but
it's life. What are you? Okay, so news. What do we have to talk about?
Well, brief news here is last week we speculated wildly that perhaps a Mr. Grant Kirkhope was composing music for Project Ukulele, which, as we discussed last week, World War III, look it up, that Playtonic Games, they're the ones with the really clever pun, made up of former Rareware employees, and we don't just mean the catering crew or the janitorial staff or security guards. We mean guys like Chris Sutherland. It's the heavyweights of our childhood. Not that they have a weight problem,
right?
But Playtonic Studios, they're developing this mysterious project called Project Ukulele, a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. And does that mean Motsand is in it and Napper? And or by spiritual, do they mean kind of like it but with none of the trademarks?
I'm going to guess they mean that Motsand is going to be in it.
Sweet.
And so nothing else will be similar to Banjo-Kazooie whatsoever.
So long as we get a character, because that's all I care about. I don't care if the game's any good. I just want that character in it so we can add it to that games page we have for the Donkey Kong universe.
Right. It'll be called Fuck You, the game.
And they can get away with that, too, because they don't have to answer to the Stamper Brothers anymore.
Right. That's right. Honestly, I doubt it was the Stampers that had a problem with that.
Yeah.
I think actually, didn't Grant say that it was Nintendo that kept sending it back over and over, and eventually it got to the point where he would just send them the same files until they just stopped realizing that they already
for the jars, for the flower pots,
for that voice, that sample.
But they weren't actually saying "fuck you"; they were saying "thank you."
I know, but they kept telling him. I think I saw this on his Facebook or on Twitter somewhere. Nintendo kept rejecting it, saying it sounds too much like "fuck you." It sounds too much like "fuck you," and he kept redoing it over and over until they rejected it, and he just sent them the exact same thing, and they approved it.
Do you think that when they saw the penis 2 years later, the giant Banjo-Tooie cock?
Oh, I don't think they ever did. I think that got through release without anyone realizing.
Well, obviously it got through release. Look at it. But that's the second or third time I made that joke this episode, and believe me, there's going to be more.
Oh, it gets funnier every time.
It does. But
That's why I'm laughing.
I think that's when they decided, yeah, we're selling these fuckers. Forget it. It's done.
They are just obsessed with genitalia.
Quite frankly, this is just shameful. It's not like we released a Mario game for the Game Boy where an entire level takes place inside Mario's crotch with balls.
Right.
I'm not making that up.
No, I know you're not. Also, Mario transforms into a tanuki in Mario Brothers 3 that is a kind of raccoon creature that is known for his enormous fucking testicles.
That's right. Yeah. It's also a racial slur against all raccoon people. So
What, tanuki?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
I just made that up, but
Yes, I imagined that you made up a raccoon-centric racial slur. Where would that ever exist in reality?
well, in reality, you shorten raccoon and you've got a racial slur, but towards African Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We don't talk about that up here.
we just beat our wives down here. I don't know what you mean. Why are you saying I'm a racist when I'm just a wife beater?
I moved here. I thought it would be A-okay. They always come after Slick Willie.
For the record, Bill Clinton has never been accused of beating his wife.
For the record.
For the record. Well, the slander that's thrown at the Clintons, like, you kind of have to, like, they say Hillary killed Vince Foster, when the guy committed suicide, and there's a Clinton death list from the 90s.
There's no way that's possible because he was like in Swingers in the Lost World. I don't understand.
Wow, that's a reach. So anyway, Grant Kirkhope is composing music for Project Ukulele.
Yeah. That was confirmed. Actually, the entire musical team for Ukulele was confirmed in one fell swoop. We had suspected that Grant would be involved, especially considering he was the principal banjo N64 composer.
Right, especially considering Grant has his toes in all of these 3D platforming revivals.
Yeah, he's determined, I think, to as long as they'll contact his agent and go through the the proper channels. He wants to be the. I don't want to say one. I don't want to make a pejorative comment. He is becoming the sound of 3D platforming as a genre, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's who you think of, just as I think of David Wise when I think of 2D platforming.
David Wise, you say?
What? Was that a segue?
Might have been. I don't think you intended it to be.
Yes, I intend everything I do.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm a meticulous planner.
Yeah, Hyle actually scripts every one of these episodes.
Did we ever reveal that episode where I went back and I wrote down with that episode I had to re-record?
Okay, you say had to as if there wasn't an easier option to just.
Can we reveal this now? Because this is pretty amusing. I think it'll create some added interest to the episode that had happened.
Do you remember which one it was?
Yes.
Okay.
It was our very first episode on YouTube. It was Son of Diddy Kong Racing Wii U rumors. It was a big episode for us because it was tackling some very hot news. The Kevin Callahan story as it broke. It was back last summer. I think it was episode 230. I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But anyway, yeah. So we recorded the conversation as usual. Your audio was fine. My mic didn't record my audio, and I recorded on my webcam, and it sounded like a muffled mess. And I was like, this is an important episode, and I just fucked it up, and it's going to be pretty much unlistenable. I have one of two options. I could put it up as is, but this was our first episode on YouTube, so I wanted to create a good impression. Or I could go back and listen to my audio, write down everything I said, and in the exact same tone I said it in, and re-record it all.
Or you had a third option. Say, hey, Chad, my audio didn't work. Can we re-record the episode?
Nope.
Yeah, that wasn't an option. You just went like throughout the whole weekend without letting me know what the hell's going on. And
Yep. Yep, it was episode 230. I got it up on Monday, so it was only a couple days late. And yeah, if you listen to that episode, that conversation is not happening in real time as we recorded it. I am basically pantomiming the initial conversation I had with Chad. Chad's audio is as it happened. Mine was recorded 2 days later.
Worth it.
And nobody ever knew, and Alistair knew, and he's been hinting at it on the forums, and nobody ever figured it out.
Yeah. Well,
So go back and listen to that episode, and your mind will be blown.
it really won't, though. Don't do that. David Wise is going to be contributing music to Project Ukulele. But that's not all.
It's not.
No.
Evelyn Fisher has come out of retirement.
If only.
Robin Beelan has defected from Rare.
Yeah, the former Evelyn Fisher. I think her name now is Novakovic. Or Novakovic.
But her name as she performed these classics was Fisher.
Right.
So. Wait, Graham Norgate is bringing some K. Rool's acid punk to Project Ukulele.
Yeah, and everyone's favorite Donkey Kong Land song, that part that's like a cave, only a little higher.
I love how you, of all people, name the Donkey Kong Land tracks.
Hey, I see a vacuum, I fill it.
No, actually, because when we got on the internet, we were one of the first people to have Donkey Kong Land tracks, as well as some other games like Galactic Pinball on, I think it was just file sharing, right?
No, it was, I had a side website that was hosted in the DK Vine server called Tempest Fugit.
Yes,
and
named after an X-Files episode.
That's right. And
Go figure, right?
Yeah, named after an X-Files episode and the end of a Tears for Fears song.
I had my own website. It was more adult in nature, where I posed for the webcam, and it was called Small Potatoes. Also, because the X-Files, and no other reason, I swear.
Right. Although I really appreciated your Donkey Kong cosplay night that you had on your Small Potatoes webcam.
Well, yes. Well, one, I had the genitalia for Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Realized how very small junk. And two, that's a callback to last week.
It is a callback. Innuendo.
So,
I had Eternal Darkness music. All of these were things that I ripped. I had Eternal Darkness, Jet Force Gemini, Donkey Kong Land, Galactic Pinball. Kuru Kuru Kururin. I went for basically... the whole point was that these were soundtracks that I wanted to listen to. So
this was before we actually discovered non-video game music.
Yes. So I meticulously ripped them all.
So yes, there was a time when we didn't make Beatles references, really obscure ones like Faux Paul, Billy Shears.
Yes. But yeah, there was also some weird kind of bits and bobs in there, like the GameCube menu music, which I still to this day really like. It's kind of this sort of electronic ambient thing. What was it? Oh, on the Wind Waker pre-order disc that contained Ocarina of Time and its Master Quest, there was the menu had an original remix of the Legend of Zelda theme. So I ripped that.
I didn't realize you had this website so long, because I thought it kind of went away like in early 2001 or something. But yeah, you actually had it for a while.
Yeah, it was up there for a while. I just never really told anyone about it. And I would I posted, there was my English teacher in high school. I wrote a few fan fictions about him. And about how he was setting up Operation BSBODSOM, which is Operation Build Secret based on Dark Side of Moon. Yeah, and then there was a lot of weird content. I wrote a review of the X-Files episode Field Trip on Tempest Fugit.
I remember that one.
Yeah, where I postulated whether or not the worst seasons of the show were merely the continuation of the mushroom trip that Mulder and Scully are on for that whole episode.
You know, I forget what there is, but there is evidence that it was actually. They leave it open that they could have never actually gotten out of the mushroom.
Yeah, I think the evidence is that the entirety of I Want to Believe, the second X-Files movie, is just a bunch of yellow goop sliding down the screen.
Yeah. Also, Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz wrote it while on mushrooms.
Did Frank Spotnitz co-write that?
Yeah.
Oh no, I thought that was just a Chris Carter joint.
No. Well, I mean, Chris Carter had lots of joints as well as other. But
there's the hilarious Hyle Russell drug references all our listeners are looking for.
I'm down with the kids. What can I say? I want to be hip, and I want kids to know drugs are cool and they're funny.
They are. Cool and funny. Steve Burke is the other guy.
Now, I thought his heart was pierced by a stingray.
That is just as tortured a reference as my Vince Vaughn thing from earlier.
I know, but you got to do that one.
All right. Well, I apologize. Steve Burke is the musician. I think he was the solo musician on Cameo, or at least he was he spearheaded that effort. But from what I recall, and I hope I won't have to issue a correction, he also contributed to the Nuts and Bolts soundtrack along with Grant.
I thought you were gonna say he also contributed to Operation Rarefall.
Right? Yeah, he hates Rare, and that's why he's a Playtonic.
I have the Nuts and Bolts soundtrack on my desk right in front of me, so I can tell you that. Steve Burke.
Do they list composers on video game soundtracks?
On this one, they do. I don't see Steve Burke.
No?
It's Dave Klinick.
Oh, Dave Klinick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm mistaken. But I know Steve was involved with Cameo.
Okay.
So, anyway, it's a triumvirate of classic Rare musicians. We're not as familiar with Steve Burke. I'm actually going to have to look into some of his
because Cameo's a game that kind of fell through our cracks.
Yeah, I would have loved to have played Cameo, but I never got a 360 until way later, and then it red ringed, and then I was done with the whole thing.
Cameo was a Jet Force Gemini situation with me where I got it for Christmas, and I never really gave it much of a chance.
It looked like a lot of fun, and I remember looking forward to it when it was going to be a GameCube game.
The problem is, whereas Jet Force Gemini came out a month before Donkey Kong 64, Jet Force Gemini came out when I was pretty much drifting away from video games.
Yeah. You mean Cameo came out when you were drifting away?
That's exactly what I said.
No, you said Jet Force. You said while Jet Force came out here, Jet Force came out while I was drifting away.
Well, like I said, I'm a meticulous planner, and I plan that misstatement so you could set up that hilarious correction.
Right, and everything we're saying now, explaining the explanation, is also scripted.
It just gets more and more meta, and that's funny.
Yep, it is.
It's Comedy 101.
Community Season 6, starting soon. So anyway, that's the big Playtonic news, and it's actually really exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing.
Also, Playtonic. Can we talk a little bit more about their web presence? Because
sure.
On Twitter, they are already creating wacky characters for their web presence. And it
a la
reminds me,
Mr. Pants.
A la Mr. Pants. A la, well, let's be honest, DK Vine.
We never had wacky characters. Our friend is totally real.
No, well, I was talking about, of course, our friend is real. I'm just talking about some of the other characters we created, like Unibrow the Ghetto and Evil Amoeba and those
Tom Poston.
those fictitious characters.
Yeah.
Not our friend, who is, of course, a real guy.
Yeah. And was at one point Bob Newhart.
And he evolved into Barack Obama.
Of course.
Actually, yeah.
Real guy.
So that's when I say, when you say you're disappointed with Obama, I'm like, dude, that's our friend. What are you talking about? Like,
that's not just our friend. That's our friend.
That's right. Now, there is another our friend. The current our friend is an alternate universe our friend. Mm-hmm. And that's just a whole wacky story. But my point is, our friend and the Fonz, the Fonz, a classic DK Vine moderator, the Fonz is also a real guy. So
yeah.
And he's the Fonz.
Mm-hmm. Not Henry Winkler.
No, the real Fonz.
Yeah.
The guy the Fonz was based off.
So anyway, Playtonic has a character now?
Yeah, he's called Poop.
Which is an acronym.
Yeah, what's the acronym? Chad?
So basically, poop is a cardboard box that has been covered in what looks like aluminum foil and googly eyes.
This is a physical prop, and but it's as shitty as Mr. Pants was a shitty drawing.
Yeah, it's basically there's a hole cut in a box where paper is fed out of, and it has the two O's in poop make up his giant Google eyes, and he answers questions from Twitter. Poop stands for Playtonic Omnipotent Options Processor, and they asked Poop who the composer's going to be, and Poop pooped out all three. And they've also asked Poop about his favorite Jelly Belly flavors, and
they feed Poop questions. You should say they put the questions in Poop, and he spits it out.
He poops it out.
He poops it out. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
in fact, they feed him a piece of paper that says "Best Questions." Best questions ever, actually. Yeah. So it's really nice that Poop is already established as a non-game character that they're just.
Here's the thing I love about Poop. It's that they took the time. They're busy developing a video game. Yet they took the precious work hours to tape this shit to a cardboard box.
Yeah.
Like it's just that Rare vibe. It's just that playhouse that you imagined Rare actually was behind the scenes.
Yeah, and Poop looks only marginally less high quality than things that were in Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, he does remind me of Magic Screen.
Yeah. Yay!
Oh man. So yeah, it's terrific stuff happening over at Playtonic. I'm like, it just, the world's been a brighter place in the last week since they came about.
Yeah.
Also, we've got some really, really, really exciting news. Probably more exciting than Playtonic. Are you ready for this, Chad?
Uh-oh. Wait, hang on. Is this like the recent news? I didn't know we were going to talk about this.
Oh, well, we have to talk about this. Donkey Kong Country, the complete first season.
Oh, that.
is coming out on DVD May 12th.
That's right. That's definitely what I thought you were going to say. No, we do have something in the works that's very exciting that you'll hear about within a month's time. But
that will probably fall through, knowing our luck.
Right. Never mind.
A meteor will hit the Earth, and
we do actually do some planning. Anyway.
No, we've got something in the pipeline that the poisonous pipeline that you'll appreciate.
In the poop line.
Yeah, and it's exciting for the conversation. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
But while you're waiting, well, actually, you'll be waiting even longer for this, because May 12th, the complete first season of the beloved Donkey Kong Country television show from the late 90s is going to be on DVD. Now, they've released Donkey Kong Country digitally in pretty, the quality is okay, but it's kind of grainy. It's not like the high quality, high fidelity that fans are looking for. Now, I wish this was personally a Blu-ray release.
Of course.
You know, I want to preserve this. I wanted to have this on my shelf.
Yeah.
I want to entertain friends on my premium home entertainment system.
Like you want to be able to play those drinking games where when you see the character's face clip into their body, take a drink.
When the characters want to go on a picnic, take a drink.
Take a drink. You'll be smashed before the end credits are over.
When there's weird sexual misunderstandings and Cranky Kong fills the role of Don Knotts, take a drink.
Don Knotts?
That was Three's Company, but they're actually.
I thought you were making like an Andy Griffith Show reference, and I was like, how in the hell?
Remember that episode where Opie banged Aunt Bee?
Yeah, that was actually a series prequel to Happy Days.
Yeah, that's. Aunt Bee offered Opie her pie, and misunderstandings and just wacky hijinks ensued.
Yep.
And anyway, it scandalized the whole town of Mayberry. It was really sad, actually.
No one likes these references.
Nobody likes this show.
No.
The complete first season of Donkey Kong Country. In all seriousness, we hate this show, and this is. The sad thing is, I'm probably gonna buy it just because it'll give me something to talk about.
Are you really?
I don't know.
I know that you were working on something for the site related to the DKC TV show.
And actually, I think it might be more apropos to now time it for this DVD release when it's more in the news. But the cover of the DVD, we should talk about this. It's kind of this minimalistic design. It's actually you've seen the cover, right? The cover art.
Yeah, I already talk it on the forum.
Okay, it is basically just brown furry shenanigans with a poorly drawn DK tie over it with some glare on it. It's
yeah,
and it says Donkey Kong Country the complete first season. And so what do you think about this artwork, Chad?
Well, it's funny because there has never been an instance of Donkey Kong's tie hanging in front of a completely furry body area. Actually, I think that what they should have had is either a DK tie in front of his chest and nipple area, or if they preferred the brown furry aesthetic, there should have been no tie at all.
Or a banana, or a couple bananas in front. They could have used the fur as the background, but then also like had other elements on it. This just makes it look like they don't know Donkey Kong's anatomy, and it's ludicrous.
Or they could have like covered the entire case with like fake furry hair, a la the Northern Exposure DVD box set that was an orange life preserver kind of material.
Oh yeah. Northern Exposure, when it first came out on DVD, they had them all wearing like really like those jackets that keep you warm in the winter.
Marty McFly.
Yeah, but bulkier. You know, it's.
I think they're called winter coats.
Yeah, they're like Gore-Tex or something. That's from Seinfeld, I think. Anyway, but it makes me wonder what season 2 going to look like. Is it going to be? You would think it'd be Diddy's shirt, but in the cartoon, he didn't have the stars on his shirt, so I don't know how.
Well, you're assuming a lot of design forethought when you're saying this. You're like, oh, what is he? It's like a gorilla? Okay, like some brown fur, and did he like wear a tie? Okay, put that in there. Okay, print it out. I think that's all that went into this.
See, I think they wanted to focus on the animalistic nature of Donkey Kong.
Oh, I see.
So they went with all fur, but then the tie represents our attempts to try to civilize nature and tame it, and the futile nature in that, because ultimately the fur is just gonna overcome all traces of our hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember the extended musical number about that exact subject.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
It's where he was worried that Candy was cheating on him with Bluster Kong.
That's right, and it came up with it featured such amazing lyrics as, "When I say yes, 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 I mean no, no, no."
Yeah. Well, it worked for Paul McCartney. Hello, goodbye.
Wait, what?
Excuse me. It worked for Billy Shears.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. What was I talking about there? Sorry. Anyway, yeah. Donkey Kong Country, the complete first season. They actually have had DVD releases of this, but they've just been sampling episodes.
We have talked about this for way too long.
You threw away your copies of it.
Yeah, of course I did.
There's a post on our Facebook page of them in trash bags.
Yeah. Yeah, I threw those away. Well, when I moved to New York, I had to downsize all of my physical media, and I couldn't get more than like 32 cents on Amazon for them, so it wasn't even worth it.
You threw away a lot of good things. You threw away the Donkey Kong Country cartoon DVDs. You threw away the Seaman Cookbook.
I know. And presumably more things than those.
Somewhere in a Texas landfill, there's people hunting for these treasures.
Good. I hope they find them and enjoy them.
There's just like some like bum is in that landfill saying there's a Seaman Cookbook here somewhere and Daddy's got to eat.
Yeah, and until he gets that cookbook, he will not be able to sustain himself on his own semen.
No, well, you've got to season it.
It's already pre-seasoned if you're doing it right.
Well, I mean, well, you're talking about pineapple, but it's already pretty salty.
No,
I'm talking about
I was talking about the natural. This is disgusting. Let's talk about something else.
you've got to add some paprika and maybe some oregano.
This is disgusting, and your semen cookbook just makes me have just like a gag reflex. Which, haha, insert blowjob joke.
You know what? This Christmas or Hanukkah, Mel Brooks, or Hanukkah, we should I should just buy you 10 of them.
Ugh.
Oh, or no, I could buy you one each for each day of Christmas.
You're gonna pull a glitter.
What?
A glitter. Remember?
Oh! I thought in glitter, Mariah Carey bought her friend a semen cookbook for like 12 days of Christmas.
No, I was referencing that year when I bought all my friends glitter.
Oh
on
yeah,
DVD.
we talked about this on the show too.
I know
yeah.
we did, but for new listeners that haven't already turned it off,
It's like. Finally, a Donkey Kong show that talks about semen cookbooks. Finally,
Yeah.
Because I was growing fond of those other Donkey Kong Country podcasts, but they don't talk about cooking semen enough.
yeah. These days, the only semen-based DKU podcasts are us and the Crystal Archives. So, is there any other news aside from the news of the new?
No, I mean let's get to the creamy semen filled center of the
God.
episode. Let's get to the new Nintendo 3DS.
Right. So this is Nintendo.
And I was actually looking how to write this for our notes here because I thought it was new Nintendo 3DS. I thought the new was like in quotation marks because the way the graphic it was designed, it was like there's like starburst around the new.
Oh well, there are these little amiibo looking, like the amiibo logo. It has that same kind of thing, which I guess is meant to indicate the built-in amiibo functionality on the device. I
guess that's synergy. I guess.
There was someone at Nintendo that got a raise for that idea, but unfortunately, I doubt anyone got fired for the massive marketing clusterfuck that is this system's name.
Nobody's been fired at Nintendo for the last decade, and
the sad thing is the new Nintendo 3DS is a fantastic system, and I purchased it this last week when it came out. And Hyle, you don't have one yet, do you?
No, I was debating whether to get one the day of launch. I was really kind of leaning towards it, and then I realized. That's a waste of money for the time being. I'm gonna get one,
right?
But I have this understanding. Nintendo and I have this understanding. I was like, look, Nintendo, I'm not gonna buy your new system until you fucking give me a Donkey Kong game for it, and that's the understanding we have. And so I'm just waiting for them to make good on that.
I see. I'm sure it'll come eventually.
Yeah.
But so here's kind of the weird thing about the new Nintendo 3DS. It's by virtue of its name, it seems like the difference between the DS and the DSi, which is basically very little.
That's what I thought it was. I thought it was just a repackaging with slightly more functionality.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I guess you would be technically correct if you called it that, but. What it does, it not only adds controls that it perfects what the 3DS ought to have been to begin with.
So, like everything that Nintendo rushes to market these days,
yeah.
They actually perfect it much later and make you double dip.
Yeah, there are three major things that the new 3DS adds on to it, just bolts onto the 3DS experience. There's the C nub, which I still don't know what the official Nintendo name is for the C stick thing. It's not really a control stick, but
I've been calling it the clitoris.
Okay,
stick.
yeah. Okay, C for clitoris. Perfect. The clit stick. So this thing it basically serves the
clit stick. Oh man, I gotta get me a new 3DS.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. It serves the same purpose that a camera or a second control stick would, only since it's not a full control stick sort of thing, you don't have quite that level of precision, but it works perfectly fine for controlling the camera in a game, and I've been using that with Majora's Mask 3D. It actually works really well. It's a little awkward, the position that it's in. You can't exactly use it with the face buttons at the same time, but I mean, I suppose it's going to be a limitation for any second control stick. You only have so many fingers. Am I right, ladies? It also that's why we bring a cigar into the picture. It also
well, diplomatic relations with Cuba are reopened.
That's right. I can finally find out what Marilyn Monroe was crowing about all those years. Because JFK was the last president to be around before sanctions were imposed upon Cuba.
And he was also the last president to impose sanctions in Marilyn Monroe.
That's right. Yeah. By sanctions, we mean a diaphragm. So,
now RFK would have been the last president, but he was shot before he was elected.
Fucking
so.
RFK getting shot. Fucking Nixon.
Because Nixon was obviously responsible.
It might have been the Bushes, because. All right, look up the history of Sirhan Sirhan in relation to the CIA, and then look up George H.W. Bush's history with the CIA, and look at the timeline. I'm not crazy. I am not mentally ill.
Look where George H.W. Bush was November 22nd, 1963.
Yeah. It wasn't Houston. It was in the morning, but later on in the day, it wasn't Houston. Okay. So
this episode is going to be called Loose Change, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we should re-record the entire episode in this kind of monotone. That was the worst thing about that fucking Loose Change documentary, aside from how...
The worst thing?
Aside from how batshit fucking crazy it is.
No, I spent a while since I've seen it. Do they give the theory that the planes were holograms in that, or is that a theory that developed after Loose Change?
No, I think that probably developed after. What their explanation was with the two planes that hit the World Trade Center towers were reflections off the water in coral capers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No. There is this crazy theory where the planes never actually hit the Twin Towers.
Oh, really?
They were actually holograms. The planes were diverted to a government to a military base where all the passengers were executed.
Holograms,
yeah.
that could be seen from any angle.
Well, as any good hologram can be.
Right. Presumably being flown by Tupac Shakur.
Well, come on. This is before they perfected rapping and hip-hop hologram technology.
Oh, that's right. They were just at the 747 stage at that point.
Look, the government had this technology first, which they got from the Roswell aliens.
Right.
So let's, look at the chain of events. Roswell aliens, government, black ops, Death Row Records.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, wow, I'm surprised you were. Oh, well, you do work in media, in like music, so you would know Death Row Records. I was just amazed that you were able to just pull that out of your ass.
Well, also, I've interned for Suge Knight, so...
Yeah, I'm glad you escaped unscathed. Someone needs to install a beeping sound on his vehicle. So, what were we talking about? Oh, the new 3DS. So it's got the clit stick. That's right. It's got the it's got the enhanced processing power, which has already proven its usefulness to me just in the speed at which the operating system runs. And when you hit the home button, it's like immediate.
I need to improve the speed of my operating system before Hillary walks in.
I just say these things. I don't even know what they mean anymore. I've never understood what innuendo is. While giving a half thumbs up the entire time.
And biting his lower lip.
That's right. Yeah, all the Daryl Hammond greats. Live from New York.
I don't know. I think our clit is more Conan O'Brien's, what was it, Robert Smigel? Or? Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, when he used to do the clutch cargo bits.
Yeah, although his was more like Yosemite Sam, like yeah.
I'll say. Yeah, his big line that I remember is, when they were talking about Monica Lewinsky. He's like, I didn't tell her to lie in that deposition. I told her to lie there in that position. And it got a big laugh.
I remember the first episode after Andy left the show, they had him audition new sidekicks, and he settled on Clinton. And I was like, I really wanted them to just commit to that.
Yeah.
And have Clinton on the couch at all times.
That would have been just as transcendent as Craig Ferguson's skeleton sidekick, Joffrey.
Yeah.
Or was it Joff?
But
I don't remember.
Joffrey was a Game of Thrones.
That's right. Yeah, it's Joff or Geoff. So you got the enhanced processing power that Bill Clinton is a big fan of, and that actually has paid off in dividends with just being able to load everything in the system so much faster, and you don't think you need it until it's there. Okay, that's enough of that. I have to discuss the new 3DS. I haven't yet played a game that was exclusively...
We agreed on this, Chad. You would spend the money on the new 3DS.
Uh-huh.
I would heckle you with a shitty Clinton impression.
That's true. That was the deal.
That was the deal.
Yeah. That was in our prenup before we went to Hawaii. We were very prescient. So here's the thing, though. The new 3DS is so much more powerful under the hood than the 3DS that they are creating games that can exclusively run on the new 3DS hardware, which this is the thing that separates it from the DS to DSi style comparison. Or
was there ever a game besides games you could download to the DSi? Was there any games for the DSi that would not run on the DS, like actual cartridges?
I don't,
or not cartridges, but game, whatever they call them now. I don't know.
I don't know. I think all it really added was that online functionality, right? I think that's.
I don't know.
Well,
I was honestly tuned out during the DSi era. So
yeah, I mean, it is. Well, here's another one: the Game Boy Advance to Game Boy Advance SP. It's a different form factor, slightly more user friendly.
Or the Game Boy to the Game Boy Pocket.
Right. But what the true analogy that can be drawn is the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color. I mean, it is that significant of a leap, and also
I'm a little disappointed. Virtual Boy never stuck around, so we could have a Virtual Girl and keep having permeations of Virtual Boy, because that would have been fun to see.
Yeah, that's it. It was a little weird when they ditched the whole Game Boy line or the whole boy line. Even Talk Boy put out a Talk Girl eventually.
Yeah, well, Kevin McAllister, father.
That was Peter McAllister.
Who's Kevin McAllister?
The son, Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, and then of course there's Kevin Callahan, who lives in Minnesota with his wife and kids.
Oh, you mean Kevin Callahan from the games and television and film industry?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, it's
why doesn't Playtonics hire Kevin Callahan? Maybe they should make a call.
He's the secret 7th member. Well, 8th if you count Poop.
What if Poop was Kevin Callahan?
This whole time he's been a cardboard box covered in tinfoil, aluminium foil. So it is that significant of a leap, though, from Game Boy to Game Boy Color,
but why don't they brand it as a new system, then?
Well, that's the thing. They have branded it as a new system, literally. The only thing is, you look at
no, they've called it the new Nintendo 3DS. They haven't called it Nintendo 3DS 2 or,
Right, that's what I'm saying. They have literally called it a new system. That's because when you look at the name Game Boy Color, it's a Game Boy and the games are in color. Right there in the name, there's no...
It tells you everything you need to know.
Everything you need to know. Get into it.
Oh, yeah, that...
Remember those lips?
Everything after Play It Loud, and I know everybody but us thinks Play It Loud was a terrible campaign, but...
Play It Loud was great.
Well, yeah, because we're a child of the 90s,
yeah.
But everything after Play It Loud was just miserable, as far as a slogan goes.
We would like to play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the selling point, looking at the name New Nintendo 3DS, is that it's new. That's the only thing that, looking at the title, it has to offer. And more than that, it just confuses the the leaps, it muddles the whole lineage of Nintendo's handhelds. And I was trying to explain this to Janelle when I got the system, because she's like, so I thought you already had a 3DS. And I said, well, this is the new 3DS. She goes, what do you mean? I was like, this is a new. I had to try and explain to her there was the DS, there was the DSi, then there was the DS XL. Then we're going to the 3DS line. There's a 3DS. There's a 3DS XL. There's the new 3DS. There's the new 3DS XL, which is only available, or which is the only model available in North America. And it's just like already she just completely turned her brain off, because it's like, and this is a woman who enjoys games and is good at them. This is not someone like a parent who's being...
To be fair, the only game she really enjoys is Hunting Man.
That's true. It's the most dangerous game.
Yeah.
And she's very good at it. But the imagine a kid telling his parents on Christmas, "Mommy, I want the new Nintendo 3DS." So the parent goes out and they get them the fucking Nintendo 3DS. With that, and here's where it's going to get really bad, when Nintendo really starts pushing games that can only be played on the new Nintendo 3DS. I think right now the only one that comes to the top of my mind is a Xenoblade port. It's a port of the Wii Xenoblade.
I don't know. Like, I might get that, but I'm kind of afraid. I think I have xenophobia.
Nice. So yeah, it's really unfortunate the way that Nintendo has marketed it. But the biggest selling point to me,
but that's what they did with the Wii U. I mean, that's one reason why the Wii U is such a fart in the wind.
Right. I mean, thankfully with the 3DS, they are able to take advantage of the fact that DS meant dual screen, but now means the D part could also be dimension, and 3DS. It tells you exactly what this system brings to the table.
Remember when the DS was first announced and we were going through our like too cool for school anti-Nintendo phase where we weren't happy with any announcement they made?
Yeah.
So we
Oh
said
yeah, I remember
DS...
our Facebook page, Operation Nintendo Fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Then what was really impressive was this was a couple years before Facebook. So we really helped launch Facebook. Really, I think Zuckerberg stole the idea from us. And
Actually, Eduardo Sovereign stole the idea from us, and Zuckerberg stole it from him.
Oh, yeah. Well, and also we had the Winklevoss twins on staff. So
Yeah, but it all comes out in the wash, in that we're extremely poor.
As it should be.
Right.
No, but we refer to the DS as, are you ready for this? The diaper shit.
No.
Go back and look at the news posts, because this was after we still have these news posts archived. They're like
the diaper shit.
E3 2004. Yes,
that's embarrassing. But in her defense, that was 11 years ago.
In Hitler's defense, that was like 80 years ago.
I'm sure Hitler, if he were still with us, he would be looking back on his hijinks with embarrassment.
Yeah, what was I thinking?
What was I thinking?
I was so young and stupid.
These Jews, gypsies, and homosexuals, they're not so bad.
I just wish they would do something with the branding.
The only thing is they never let me use the Yiddish.
Hitler just doesn't know what Jews are new or not. They don't specify that. Like,
so Jesus, really cultivating that audience.
We're not saying anything that they weren't thinking.
That's right. We've already projected these horrible things into the brains of longtime listeners. They might as well not even listen. They can just imagine what an episode of the show would be and get offended accordingly.
We've already ruined an entire generation. Yeah. It's the Kongversation convention, the Kongvention, just looks like the Nuremberg rallies at this point.
Oh, I thought we were going to call that the conventionong. Didn't we discuss that was the clever pun, the conventionong?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, in a previous episode, that was something we discussed, that the hilarious portmanteau of Kong and convention would be conventionong.
Oh,
Yeah. So the actual
I don't get that call back.
Oh, innuendo. The actual selling point, the major one for me, which really makes me wish that Nintendo had held off on the whole 3D thing until they could have implemented this, is the facial tracking, where the 3D now never goes away. It's really eerie and amazing how well it works. Basically, the device tracks the position of both of your eyes and adjusts the angle at which it's sending out the left or the right video accordingly.
Good Lord, that sounds like witchcraft to me.
Well, honestly, when they debuted the 3DS, I felt like the glassesless 3D tech was witchcraft enough, but now they've added on to it, and playing like Majora's Mask 3D, it's so awesome to be able to use the gyroscopic sensor of the new 3DS and still have the 3D effect intact. And what I've started doing is in that game, in addition to using the first person things like arrows and the Deku Link's bubble, it goes into first person and lets you move your device around. And it still stays in 3D, but in that game, they've coded it in such a way that on Zelda, when you're moving around, you can kind of move the camera behind Link, but still be able to move forward, backward, left, and right.
Yeah.
I think you're either holding the shoulder or the trigger. I can't remember what the N64 control is, but for that exact function, when you move the camera like behind Link like that, and it makes that noise that it's like a stone scraping. You can move the camera, or you can move the 3DS around, and it uses the gyroscope to move the camera. So I'll be like running through a temple while it's in 3D and moving my hand around, so moving the character, moving the camera, and seeing it all in 3D, and it lets me, quickly solve puzzles and find out where the enemies are. It's fantastic. So it really is making Majora, which is my first real hands-on experience with this device, a completely new experience. Unlike Ocarina of Time 3D, which was, it was great, and the graphic upgrades were fine, but it didn't really add a lot to the core gameplay. So I'm very impressed with the new 3DS. And
have you tried any of the 3DS games beforehand that you've played on the old 3DS? Have you tried any of them on the new 3DS to see how the 3D improves the experience, the stabilized 3D?
No, I haven't. But what I would imagine is that on games that ghosting was a big problem, like especially like some stages in Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D, it probably mitigates a lot of those issues. That's I'm guessing that's about the most you're going to get, is that the 3D is much more stable and there's going to be less ghosting.
Yeah, but I just can't get past the branding, and I know I know it's a silly thing to get hung up on, especially as a fan in the know. Like, ultimately, what does it matter to me? I know what the system is. It's the same thing they did with the Wii U. It's
You'd think they would have learned their lesson by now.
See, the nice thing about and you had a great point about the 3DS, the initial 3DS. Like the Game Boy Color, it says everything you need to know in the name. Yes, this is the next iteration of this system, and it has this big new feature which warrants it being a new system.
And even the DS. The first thing you do is, I want a Nintendo DS. What does DS stand for? Dual screen. Oh, okay, I get it now.
Right, like Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. And honestly, they probably retired the Game Boy name because it was getting... after a Game Boy Advance, like, you can't really build upon that. You have to just kind of start from scratch.
Right, but at least that is giving you some semblance of a selling point, though. It is a more advanced version of the Game Boy.
Well, no, I'm saying the three primary Game Boys in the Game Boy lineage all had great names.
Yeah.
The Nintendo DS, it's a little clunky of a name. But that's just more of from a writing standpoint. The branding itself was fine.
Sure.
The Nintendo DS sold a shit load of hardware. So it's fine. The 3DS was great, but they're running into the same problem. They have this issue with branding now.
And this isn't even the first one in this generation. I mean, even after the Wii U, there was the 2DS.
Oh, the 2DS is awful. Why? Well, like
it's a 3DS that can only be played in 2D, but it can play DS games, which are in 2D, and 3DS games without the 3D.
Okay, let's say you're a parent and you buy your little child, your little wee child, your little offspring,
yes.
your little love muffin. You buy them a Nintendo 2DS. I can't even say it because it's such a fucking stupid name. You buy them a Nintendo 2DS. Okay. Here's the problem, though. You want to buy them a game, but all the games say Nintendo 3DS on the side, and you're just you don't know anything about these video games. They frighten and confuse you.
No, but Hyle,
frozen caveman lawyer.
I'm just a caveman lawyer trying to buy my child a gaming device. As every dedicated parent does when they're in a mad dash to fulfill their holiday shopping duties, they would read the fine print on the 2DS box that says, capable of playing DS and Nintendo 3DS games. Of course, wouldn't they?
No.
See, that's what Nintendo thought would fulfill this requirement, but
that's why, look, when I asked my mom and dad for Christmas gifts, when I made my list, I would have to kind of write a manifesto. So like it was like I had to bring in a team of lawyers so they would know exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
That's why I loved when Amazon came around, because then I could just send them links.
Oh yeah. That's my Christmas. Like, oh, what do you want for Christmas? Here's a wish list.
Yeah. Wait, I didn't add you to my wish list yet.
and they hate that because they're like, well, you know exactly what you're gonna get. I know.
See, I just don't ask for anything anymore. Relatives try, and guilt me over never giving them gift ideas. They say, give me money. I'm a fucking adult. I'm going to buy what I want to buy when I want to buy it,
Yeah, see, I'm kind of the same way, but at the same time, like, I feel guilty receiving gifts, but honestly, if I'm going to have, because there's no way my parents are not going to buy me Christmas gifts, so I'm just like, all right, look, just.
I convinced my parents to not get me anything this year, and it was one of my greatest accomplishments.
You'll have to teach me. No, I'm fine getting Christmas gifts. I'm an only child. I'm a spoiled brat.
That's right.
Give me gifts.
Yeah.
Give me gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I still have a bunch of. I have like all of your birthday / Christmas gifts gathering dust under my bed.
Yeah. I bought you a birthday gift last year, and I've never sent it out, and it's embarrassing because I'm just like going to the post office.
Yeah, putting things in a box. It's such a pain in the ass.
I like to put things in both a box, and I like to make a pain in the ass, if you know what I mean.
I do, Bill. I do. So that's the new Nintendo 3DS. It has 3 major features. The feature I really could give two shits about is the built-in amiibo functionality. Oh, and I should mention that it no longer takes SD cards. It takes micro SD cards, which are really cool.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, have you seen a micro SD card?
I've seen no.
I mean, it's basically it's the same data saving flash memory protocol that SanDisk developed. It's just the cards themselves are teeny tiny, like maybe like a centimeter tall, a half centimeter across.
It's weird because, with technology, it's just like, let's make it smaller. Let's make it smaller. Why can't the porn industry follow suit so us average endowed guys can feel better about ourselves?
Well, that's strange because...
I mean, I tried to pioneer this with Small Potatoes, my website.
Right, your webcam.
Yeah, but
it's strange
never
because
took
the porn industry is always on the forefront of whatever's, of whatever new technology is available. And in fact, there is 3D porn that you can view using the new 3DS's browser.
I'm surprised Nintendo doesn't block it.
Oh god. Yeah, well, that would be stepping on the toes of net neutrality, and that is a whole snake's nest they do not want any part of.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Opera browser. And although I was disappointed that the the browser's RAM doesn't seem to have improved over the normal 3DS.
Yeah, you did mention that because for site-related things like screenshot gathering, we had a pretty sweet deal with the Wii U before Google Drive fucked it up for us.
Well, you actually can still access it on Google Drive, but you have to specify in the URL that you want it to launch.
You're gonna have to show me what to do.
Yeah. But basically, we would, instead of taking screenshots on the Wii U and putting them on Miiverse and then pulling them off of Miiverse, we figured out back before Google Drive introduced new Google Drive that which that's what they call it. They're calling it the new Drive. They you could go into Google Drive and hit the file upload button, and it would ask you whether you want to upload the TV screen or the gamepad screen, and you could just, it would take like 7 seconds to save a full res screenshot from the Wii U on a drive folder that would then sync to every computer you own. It was fucking amazing, and tried to do it on the 3DS, but Google Drive's, like, the code that generates that site is, even the front end, the visual side of the site, it's too much for the 3DS's Opera browser to render, so it just pops up an error message after about 10 seconds. I was hoping the new 3DS would be powerful enough to do it, but it's the exact same error message after the exact same amount of time, so my assumption is that they really haven't touched the Opera browser at all.
Why can't they just come out with Google Drive Classic? And it's like, when Coke came out with New Coke, it was confusing and people hated it.
Right.
Why? What's stopping? Why did we have our acts together in the mid '80s? And we were like, look, New Coke, no thank you.
You're the only person who's ever posed that question. Why were we so competent in the mid '80s?
Yeah, the only thing respectable about New Coke was that Bill Cosby was its pitchman.
Yeah, and thankfully history has seen that played out, and and we totally understand that Bill Cosby is just as upstanding and respectable a citizen as he was when he was hawking soda.
That's why I'm a Pepsi man. It's because I don't want rapist.
That's right.
To promote my soda.
I'm actually drinking Pepsi Max right now.
Really? Yeah, it's Birdie's favorite drink.
Yeah.
Besides beer.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Birdie the Scarecrow.
So
yeah, the new Nintendo 3DS. Let's it's gonna be a little bit of shorter episode than we have been putting out.
Oh, thank God.
Yes, but I do want to ask, in conclusion, like, this is a Donkey Kong Universe related podcast. What do you think we're gonna get? Do you think Tropical Freeze would be able to be ported to the new 3DS, much like Returns was to the original?
No, I definitely not, unless they scale back a lot, especially the visuals, and even then, I think that just looking at the leaps that Tropical Freeze made from Returns in a single console generation, I don't see the same playing out on a handheld generation. And
so, because the new 3DS isn't really that big of a leap, at least fidelity-wise, right?
What do you mean fidelity?
I mean, like that movie with John Cusack.
That's right. The new 3DS doesn't really do a good job of running a record store and betting Catherine Zeta-Jones.
That's all I wanted to know. No, but it's not the leap forward. It's just kind of like it's a 3DS with.
It's an iteration.
It's an iteration, but it's also an iteration that can only play. That has exclusive games for it. It's so confusing to wrap my head around.
Well, no, it's not. The name confuses it. It's simple. Think of it the same way that you thought of as a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color.
I'm not prepared to do that, though.
It's backwards compatible. There are some games that have functionality for both, a la Conker's Pocket Tales. Majora's Mask is the Conker's Pocket Tales in this analogy, because you do have new 3DS specific camera controls, but it can still be played on a regular 3DS without that stuff. So, there are the black cartridge games to play out that metaphor to its conclusion. There are the gray carts that work on the 3DS. There are the black carts that can work on either. And then there will be the clear plastic carts that will just work on the new 3DS.
Here's the really sobering thing I just realized. I wasn't prepared to accept it because I was like, look, there's only been, 3 years since the original 3DS? How is this a new system? And then I did the math.
Yeah.
Game Boy Color came out in 98. Game Boy Advance came out in 2001. There was only 3 years for the Game Boy Color.
Isn't that crazy?
And then 2001 to the DS came out 2004 or 2005.
Yeah, around there. I can't remember specifically.
So yeah, roughly the same amount of time for the Game Boy Advance, which seemed like it had a long reign, right?
Well, we've talked about this. It also seemed like Rare had a long reign on the N64, but I think it was just that we were so engaged on a daily basis that in our minds, it seems like it took so much longer. But, now we're, in the words of the great philosopher Jeremy Thorne, life is like a toilet paper roll. The closer you get to the end, the faster it spins.
Closer I get to the end, the faster I spin too, baby.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.